quick. Greetings, readers and travelers, and welcome to another episode of Stats on Stats. It's been a minute. We've taken a little bit of a break, but that's okay because we're back, and we actually have 2 episodes in like a week's span, like coming up, because we have this episode with our lovely guest Daniel Wisniewski, which we will get to talk to him here in a minute. But also, in like, what is it? It's Monday right now. In 6 days, my lovely co-host Joel will be sitting next to me in this frame because he's coming out to visit me, and we're going to be having Zachary Johnson and Animosity Cat back for Cyber Squad Level 2. And whoo boy, am I excited. But hey, before we get started on today's show and dive into the Bard's Tale segment of Stats on Stats, just a couple of quick housekeeping things we have for you. So, if you're watching this on Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime, you get 1 free sub. So if you want to give it to us, we'd like that. If not, that's okay. Just to let you know, we do have a goal set up. Once we hit 15 subscribers on Twitch, Joel and I will be doing a giveaway for either audiobooks or Kindle versions of books, as well as, a bunch of other stuff. And we have those goals set for our follower count and all that fun stuff as well. So I think once we hit 200 followers on Twitch and I think 100 followers on our YouTube page, we're going to be doing giveaways. So you have chances and chances and chances to win free stuff. But that's really all I got for housekeeping. So, hey, Joel Harvey.
Yeah.
Joel.
What
are we
is
doing
up?
today, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. I just realized that we're doing 2 episodes in a week, and I also realized that I need a pack still. So
You probably should. I mean, I told you, like I have shirts galore out here. We wear the same size shirts. So
yeah,
you only really need to bring pants because we have different waist size, and my legs are
don't
like,
make it weird.
Hey, I'm just saying. Like, I didn't pack anything when I came home. So, just saying. All right. But joining us for the very first time here on Stats, and for the first Bard's Tale segment, Daniel Wisniewski. Daniel, how are we doing today?
We are doing well, gentlemen. Very well. How are the both of you?
Oh, it was I don't have to deal with the Super Bowl stuff anymore, so I'm having a good week so far. It was my Friday from
Good.
work. I get the weekend now. I'm ready. It's gonna be
Nice.
It's gonna be good. What about you, Joel?
I am doing fantastic. I just got off my weekend. I have Sunday, Monday off, so feeling good. Had my day of rest and ready to get back at it.
And we played some Monster
Nice.
Hunter earlier, and that was fun.
Oh, fun.
We love our Monster Hunter. So,
Yeah.
this is the first time Daniel is joining us on the show. And, he is... You know what, Daniel? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? I don't want to do all the talking.
Sure. All right. So I am a New York-based actor. I do stage work, and I also do voice acting. I've produced over 100 audiobooks on Audible, plus some other ones outside. And I guess I'll run down the resume. I've hit the bestsellers list twice, once with Battleborn by Dave Wilmarth, featuring the lovely Jessica Threet, and also once with Wizard's Alley by James Haddock, which is more classical fantasy fare, if you're a fan of that. But yeah, that's me. I do the stage stuff, and I do the voice stuff.
Well, as a theater kid, I also like the stage stuff. And I mean, I actually, the first time you and I talked and we were trying to schedule this out, you were like, oh yeah, I think I have a performance that weekend. I'm not sure. And then it's just been a fun time since trying to get the scheduling.
That was back before that show got rescheduled again because COVID.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
gotta love resurgences, but we're hopefully getting that maybe. Who knows? It's all still in such a gray area that I don't really know if I can talk about it. But who knows? This I can talk about, so we're good.
All right. So, and you said you have over 100 releases on Audible.
That is correct, sir.
Just to go through a few. I'm just going to go off the top 4 that I have in my library. And this is a friendly reminder for people listening. This is a kink shame free zone. Do not judge my taste here. We have Battleborn by Dave Wilmarth. Gladiator.
How dare.
Gladiator by David Burke. In the Wings by Chris Kennedy and like 14 other different authors, I think. And then, oh, please don't hate me for this, but Monster Girl in My Closet by Jamie Hawk.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
That is, yeah.
Damn.
But also I have the Griff, the Griffin Rider Omnibus for book 1
That's
through
a
5.
deeper cut.
Yeah, there's a lot. There I have a lot on here. And of course, the Monster Girl Island, which I said I would just briefly mention, and Isekai Assassin Volume 1.
Hey, good stuff.
I really liked that one. That was a very good one. Shout out to Grayson Sinclair.
Yeah.
But yeah, Joel, what do you have? What do you got going on? What do you got in your library over there?
I mean, honestly, not as much as I like you would have. I definitely listened to like Viceroy's Pride series by
List, actually, it's next.
Cal Plowman. I think that's how I pronounce it. But yeah, other than that, like I think I listened to Battleborn. It's been a while. But yeah, I'm excited to add some stuff onto my wish list though. So
Hopefully I can make some suggestions.
Well, I mean, obviously you got a majestic voice, so there's
thank
obviously
you.
some good ones out there, and I'm just
It's an act.
I'm just looking through here, and I'm seeing like a few. Virgil's Pact by
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell Farmer. That one's on my wish list. Moonsault. I don't know why that one's on my wish list, but I think it just looked pretty fun. First Steps, because David Burke. I absolutely we love David Burke here. So, are there any like absolute like go-to ones you would recommend? Oh, and Adventurer. Adventurer is on my wish list because that comes out tomorrow, which you just informed me about, and I'm like, oh yay! Oh, Hunt.
Yes.
Joel, did you say Hunt?
Yes.
No, I did not say Hunt, but yes, that one's also really good.
That is a wonderful favorite of mine as well. Very much a fan of the Dungeon Core type series. It was a big change of pace, and it was already an established universe, so I hope I did it justice. But other ones I'd recommend that I did, or just that I like, because there's a cat.
This is Lunar the Litter PG Kitten.
That's amazing. I love it.
He's like our little mascot.
That's a good mascot.
He shows up almost in every show. So
that is wonderful. My cat's name is Potato. She looks like a potato, but I can't bring her in because she's gonna just be annoying. So.
Well, Joel's cat's somewhere, but yeah, this is Lunarkins. I actually made a Twitter for him not too long ago, or like last year at some point, and I've not done anything with it except post a few pictures.
Well, he looks like a good boy.
He's a very
yes.
You want to get down? Oh, go on.
In regards to suggestions, stuff that I've done or stuff that I enjoy, because I also do listen.
We'll do both. We'll do both.
Alrighty, stuff that I've had fun with. I really liked Stonecutter's Shadow by James Haddock. That is classic, straight-up fantasy.
Okay.
And if you're in the mood for that and you have 12 hours to spare, always good. If you want something a little shorter by him in a similar vein, there was a one that I did called Cast Down World. It's very much like Fallout, like really leaning into the Western style of Fallout. It's fun.
So are we talking like post-apocalyptic as well, or
post-apocalyptic, like meteor struck the earth, reset everything, and it's like the old west with mutant animals. It's really fun.
The theme for last level pretty much was post-apocalyptic. I think we did like almost 5 shows in a row that was just apocalypse stuff.
It's fun. It's fun to write in because you can do weird, crazy stuff in it the entire time.
Why we had Harmon Cooper on. We were originally just going to talk straight cowboy necromancer. Because oh god, that book is so damn good.
Yeah, that's fun.
he's great. We love Hartman here. He's just an absolute delightful human being. Also,
yes.
Shout out to Tokens and Towers being narrated by yours truly.
Hey. Yeah, that one I'm doing with Rebecca Woods down the line. Another one that we've done that I really enjoyed doing was the Towers of Acalia series by Atlas Kane.
That's on my list as well.
Yeah, that one's a really fun one. We're going to finish that series out later this year. 7 books in total. It's going to get plugged out completely, and like, Podium's going to do their whole promotional thing.
If anyone wants to donate credits to the channel, I'll send you my email.
For research purposes.
Yeah, for research.
Exactly. And then I've also, you mentioned earlier, the In the Wings by Chris Kennedy and 15 other people, because it's an anthology series.
So good.
Anything within his realm of books, the Four Horsemen universe is wonderful. If you love like wartime sci-fi in the vein of Expeditionary Force, I believe is the R.C. Bray series. Yeah, like Columbus Day, like that one. That's the first one. If you like stuff in that vein, very much your bag. It flies very low under the radar for whatever reason, and I think it needs to be thrown up a bit.
So I won't lie, and I think Joel can back me up on this one. It's hard once you like listen to so many lit RPGs to go to something that doesn't have the stat sheets or the progression.
Right.
Is it hard to do that like with the narration, because like you have your main like focus of the characters and stuff, and then you switch over to the name, rich, level, whatever the fuck it is. Like is it hard to like go from that and like try to figure out the different setup? Because
No. Sorry.
do you do the stat sheets in Battleborn, or does Jessica?
She does, and that's
Okay.
something. If it's a solo book, then it's me. If it's a duet book, it's typically always the partner.
Okay.
Because usually, most often than not, I'm also doing the primary narration, and it's a good way to get the female's voice in the book more
Right.
than they would be, and it just balances it out a little bit better. But I do have to read stat sheets for stuff on Isekai Assassin, for Shaman's Call, available for pre-order now on Audible.com. That one was very fun. But typically, when it comes to doing audiobooks, I am doing maybe like a book every couple of days. So there is a bit of that kind of weird bleed over effect of like, okay, am I reading stats in this one? Am I not reading stats? Am I doing the female parts? Am I not doing the female parts? So I try to schedule it out so that I do the lit RPG stuff kind of in line. Okay. And then if there's a massive genre shift, then I try to schedule those together as well. I try not to do too much back and forth, because once you get into a rhythm, then it's easy to just do the next book and the next book and the next book. And then if you do have to do a genre shift, I try to, take some time to read it over the weekend and just let it, settle. Also, there are sirens. I apologize.
Oh, I can't hear them like at all. Like
the cops are busy in New York.
I mean, where's Spidey Man? Like where
yeah,
where?
I can't tell you. I don't know who's that.
Yeah, like I see what you did there. So Zekler said these shameless plugs are fantastic, and I 100% agree. I love it.
Hashtag shameless plug.
I mean,
what I
yeah,
do.
like you got to plug your work somehow. I mean, I'm
a walking advertisement.
I wear my Stats on Stats hoodie to work. Joel's
Nice.
wearing one right now.
I would love one. Where can I buy one of these Stats on Stats
I think
hoodies?
they are still available on the Penultimate Conquest website. I
Nice.
will do a quick look. This was Ruben actually made them for us when we were still part of the channel before we decided to split off. To kind of like do our own thing. Like I'm still on good terms with Penn and everything, and I love Penultimate Conquest. They're great people. I will see if they are available. But yeah, you should be able to get it on their website still. But yeah, shameless plugs are absolutely fantastic. Like you gotta plug it. I mean, I try to bring up Stats on Stats like every time I can, because why not?
And I've found, especially in audiobook circles, the amount of self-advertising that you have to do for things. Like if you're working with a company that also releases press statements and everything, more is the better. But a lot of these guys and gals and those who are in between, and the authors of all sorts and shapes, they have to do a lot of their own promotion. So you'll just see a lot of sharing and resharing. So the fan base that they build up is very supportive and passionate. So they're always for a good shameless plug, because that means, yay, more releases. Keep doing your job. We like you doing your job. So it's nice. So I stopped caring about the shameless plug so much.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
just looked on the website. The hoodies are no longer there, but
Last.
I do have a friend who is a graphic designer, and he said he was going to work on some designs for us. So as soon as we get
Huzzah.
shirts and stuff made, because he actually made it's somewhere. I think it's dirty. So, but he made me a Rich Dolphus, which is my like Twitter handle, and Lunar the Gamer Kitten shirt where he has like a chibi me and then my cat casting magic. It's freaking
Aw.
beautiful. So he made that for me, and you can actually buy that on his website. It's awesome.
Nice.
So, I will say probably one of my favorite projects of yours is definitely Battleborn, just because I love the characters, and I love the way the main character just refers to his companion as Red. Just,
Yeah.
I love it, and I think that was the first time I listened to Jessica on audio.
Yeah.
And she kills it. She kills it because like for the longest time for like female narrators, and I feel weird like saying it, but I mainly like just listened to Annie Ellicott and Lori Catherine Winkle for them from the Soundbooth Theater team because that's all the dual narrations I could find. And I think Dave Wilmarth was the first. His Battleborn was the first dual narration, and actually the first time I was introduced to your work. So
Ah.
yeah, and I listened to that at work like a lot, and I was either like cheering while I was in the produce back room, like putting the stuff away like from the truck, or I was laughing just because the interactions were just they were good and wholesome between Mark. Is it Marcus? No, it's not Marcus.
Max.
I knew it started with an M.
Maximilian Storm.
The Chimera King.
The Chimera King.
See-
One of my favorite voices to do. I
He's
freaking
so
love that character so
cool.
much.
God,
But he's also a bit of a dork sometimes,
He
which
is.
makes it fun because if there's one thing I love to do, it's talking that voice kind of like down here and kind of not know what's going on. It's just a fun voice to do for that. Like it's just a really fun character to play because he gets to be a badass and also be a bit of a dork, which is really fun.
we love it. We absolutely love it.
We stand dork kings.
We do, and a lot of like I love the cheesy like main characters. Everyone's like, oh, the main character is like super, dorky and like he makes stupid mistakes. No, that shows they're a human main character, because I know if I got sucked into a world of lit RPG, I'd make stupid mistakes. Joel,
Oh yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
like
Dumb.
like I will say it's probably the most ridiculously dumb decision making main character, but for a very solid reason, would be Montana, Duke of Coggshall from the Good Guys series. Oh, he's such an idiot, but I love it and I live for it. And I'm like, all right, what decision is he gonna make this time?
I mean, these protagonists typically are so. I think they need more credit for being as well adjusted as they are to their given circumstances.
Right?
Like he. Spoiler alert. He dies in the first chapter. He is blown to bits and is suddenly in a new world
While
within
he's deployed,
5
right?
chapters. Yeah, he's a special mercenary team and killed on assignment, and his whole squad just gone, wiped off the face of the earth, and he has no idea if any of them, are in this world with him, and he's just very well adjusted for those facts. Like if it were me, I'd be like probably having panic attacks and sobbing and freaking out for at least a year. But he's just like, well, looks like I gotta go hunting for goblins and stuff now. That's just what we gotta do.
Well, and
They wipes it off very easily.
he gets greeted by a Valkyrie too, like after he dies, and is like, oh yeah, Valhalla stuff,
Yeah, like you do.
And I mean, I'm a huge Norse mythology fan, so like when it comes to like Norse themes and books, I'm like, all right, let's go. And
Yeah.
if you have dwarves in your book, I'm gonna listen. Like I'm just saying.
Oh yeah,
Like I
it's
love dwarves.
so much fun. I'm a big fantasy nerd. Before I started doing this, I have to adjust my chair. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I just
There we
adjusted
go.
my camera to see Lunar, but my name was blocking him. All you could see was his ears. Big sad.
Shame. The absolute shame.
Yeah.
The biggest sad. But I was a massive, and still am, fantasy nerd, especially with D&D and things like that. So to do these kinds of books, I could do this for the rest of my life. I love this genre that much. And just the imagination that goes into it, the sort of in-jokes, if you're a fan of any sort of like RPG style game, it's just fun. It's just so much fun and so much imagination in there. So, but yeah, dwarves are my favorite fantasy race, as it were.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, I've said it multiple times on different episodes. That's why we do this show. That reaction right there and the heart he just put into that. That's why we do it. That's why we do it. That's why Joel and I talk about lit RPGs all the damn time. Oh God, I need to watch my mouth sometimes, but no, like I can't. I get excited.
Passion, it's too much.
It is. It's way too much sometimes. Joel, what do you got for Daniel?
Oh man. So what I want to know is like, did you start your audio narration? At what point did you find lit RPG or get into? Was it something that you have read before and you were like, oh hey, author, you should let me work on your stuff? Like, how did that come to be?
Good question. Actually, with Battleborn. So before that, I was doing a lot of romance fantasy in the stylings of Eric Vall, Logan Jacobs, Marcus Sloss, and it was around when the pandemic really kicked into overdrive, and I kind of lost a lot of work aside from voice acting. I was part-time at the time, and now I've transitioned to doing it full-time. But during that period, I was watching ACX, which is where you go for your auditions for audiobooks. I was watching that religiously every day. Like, I need a new project. I need a new project. Lo and behold, Battleborn appears out of nowhere, and I knew of Mountaindale at the time. I didn't read a lot of it beforehand, but I knew of the genre. I knew of it, and when you're doing audiobooks pretty regularly, one sad side effect is you don't have time to read for yourself after a while. So I knew of it, and I knew it was interesting, and it's something I'd like, but I never had a chance to get into it, and this was my chance. And so I called up Jess, who I'd worked with on the Vampire Lord series with Logan Jacobs, and I said, I need you to send me an audition in for this now, because this will be gone tomorrow. And lo and behold, it was. But we got our audition in right in the nick of it, like in the nick of time. And then the Krauts got in touch with me. We were auditioning again and again, did callbacks, and finally settled on it, produced it, and threw it out into the ether. And lo and behold, it's my highest rated series. Just that one book. It just passed 3,000 reviews. It's insane
good.
to me.
It's really good. And I mean, I didn't want to really bring it up. I know, like, in the lit RPG community, like, Dave's got, like, he's got a rep, especially, like, in the groups on Facebook and stuff.
Yeah.
I've interacted with him a few times, and he was nothing but nice to me.
Yeah,
Like, I asked him a couple of questions. I think it was in the Spoiled Rotten Readers group with Charles Dean on Facebook, and I posted something because I went through like almost all of Dave's stuff that was out at the time. I went through the entirety of the Dark Elf trilogy. I went through Greystone Chronicles, Shadow Sun Survival, the 3 books that are out for that. And then I think we were reading Greystone Chronicles, and Fibble showed up for the first time, which when he showed up in Battleborn, I screamed. Like, I actually popped off.
Yeah, he knew that was going to happen for fans.
I popped off. I was
very
like,
excited.
Fibble! Yeah! I was like, give him a cookie, give him a cookie. Fibble's my favorite character in all of Dave's books.
He's a fun little baby Yoda little guy at this point. I really enjoy Fibble too. He's a wonderful little unofficial mascot.
Does he show back up in book 2?
I can't tell you that unless you read it.
Well, I mean, I'm buying it like it's being purchased right now.
Well, then I guess you'll find out when you're finished, won't you?
Damn it. Okay, you're right.
I do not spoil my stuff unless it's
fair.
like within the first 10 minutes of the book.
I just want more Fibble content. That's all I care.
I get that. That's fair. But yeah, I love working with Dave. I know of that. Again, also my interactions. We've been nothing but great. We text on and off. I love his work. I think he has a great way with his words and his universe building. And he has a way of making even the most innocuous interactions compelling. which, as someone who has to read the entirety of the book, it's like I'm reading this as a fan and an actor at this point.
That's awesome.
I feel blessed enough to work with someone whose work I actually actively enjoy outside of doing it. I'm just like, what happens next? But I find that, like, I get what you mean, like that it's just because he has a low tolerance for insincerity. He is what you see is what you get. He is very, just be upfront, be very direct, because that's
Right.
how he is, and I greatly respect that. And I think that honestly, it's refreshing. Like, I know exactly how he feels on things. I can call him up and be like, "Do you like this voice?" He's like, "Yeah, this is good," or "No, change it." Like, it's a good back and forth. It's refreshing, honestly.
And that actually leads me into my next topic was, what's it like, working with the authors? Like, do they sit in while you're recording? Like, do you guys do a Discord or anything?
No. So how my setup is, I record out of my apartment in New York. I have a closet, but now I used to. So this is what's crazy about that, being about Battleborn being as well received as it was. I recorded that in my old bedroom, in my old New York apartment, with no booth, with no actual, like, real sound dampening. It was me under a sound blanket with a decent mic and an air conditioner on in the background to hopefully create a decent noise profile. But it was the jankiest production ever. Like, this blanket was being held up by a mic
But
stand.
it sounds so good.
I mean, because one, it's on a Rhodes,
Right.
great equipment, highly recommended if you're getting into this. Great place to start, the NT1A.
I just have this Elgato.
It's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good, but that Rhodes though. Well, Rode, sorry, not Rhodes. That's a wrestler. But anyway,
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. Oh, I have thoughts on that too, but that's work mode. Dan.
I'm
Work
a
mode.
I'm a WWE fan, so we can talk WWE if you want to get into that.
We can, but first this.
Okay, all right.
But that's what's wild to me about Battleborn being as well received as it was, because it was recorded in the jankiest setup I did
So cool.
that I had, and it's insane that it did well. But my new setup is in my new walk-in closet with significant sound dampening, same equipment but just better sound treatment, and there is no interaction really between the authors when I start working. They give me the manuscript, they give me a character bible of accents, personality traits, if this character is a reoccurring character or a one-off. We do talk. There's a lot of communication back and forth, but not in the process. They, thankfully, pretty much every client I work with has the respect to let me do my job. And, they understand that I will treat their work with that same respect and give it nothing less than my professional best. So what I usually end up doing, they usually end up liking because I care. So,
That's
not to, but that's pretty much it. I go into my booth for 8 hours. I shout at myself, and then I send it off to them. Like, here you go. How do you like it? And they're like, it's good. I'm like, good. So that's pretty much the process. With books that I'm doing in advance, like Tokens and Towers, that was like something that was planned out a couple of months ago. And I'm also working with TJ Reynolds on a new lit RPG series that is probably the best thing he's ever written. And he writes very well, and this is the best thing he's ever written. And it's going to be coming out soon. I believe it's going to go up for pre-order within the next few weeks. Hopefully the audio comes out within a month or so. I'm almost done that. I'm working on that with Rebecca Woods. And it's good. It's so good. But we talked a lot of character stuff before I got the manuscript. And then once I got it, I just dove into it. He tells me if he likes it or if he doesn't, and then we're good.
Damn, that's awesome. I have a lot of thoughts processing right now.
Yeah,
because
I throw a lot of information at people.
When you said Rebecca Woods, I was like, I really like Rebecca Woods. Oh God, I have so many.
So
thoughts.
do I.
I have so many thoughts right now. Oh, this is okay. So I did type in the chat. I said, "Hey, chat, feel free to ask your questions." Coco writes said, "Most of the time, your voices / accents are better than what I come up with in my head. Why wouldn't I trust? Why wouldn't I trust you to handle things?" Question mark.
Coco writes, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Oh my.
So
Just
I'll let you answer that one.
well, I appreciate the trust. Is just, because I understand that there's a lot of give and take in a creative field. And when you're working with the person who actively created the manuscript, that is, there's a lot of good with that, and there could potentially be a lot of, conflict because sometimes it doesn't match up to what's in the head, and that could be like an issue that completely pauses the production. I worked with an author once who I won't say names, I won't say which series or anything like that, just, out of respect, but we did not get along creatively, and he did not enjoy the choices I made, and, that eventually the product that he wanted did come out, but that sort of clashing of ideas can happen.
Right.
But thankfully, most of the people I work with doesn't happen.
So with that
Yeah.
one, you had a lot of creative differences, but
It eventually got
Yeah.
settled, yeah.
Okay.
It just took another month of production time and
wow.
re-recording the whole book. But it was short, so it was okay. But no, yeah. Good question, Kale. Nice. I liked it.
Also,
We're
welcome,
doing well.
Kale.
Can I just say, like, Cale Plumman is like one of my favorite authors.
I get that.
I'm gonna just throw that
I
out
agree.
there. Like, his Blessed Time series is amazing, and Into
That's where I
Twilight
knew the name
was
from. I
also
was like,
amazing.
I know that name. I'm trying, and I'm here scrambling it. Joel, you just unlocked a memory core. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
Into Twilight was one of the most interesting reads as a fantasy fan first who also happens to enjoy sci-fi. The mixing of the two genres, it blended so seamlessly that at times I didn't know what kind of genre I was narrating, and that was fun because it just
It's-
flowed back and forth.
That's Viceroy, right?
That's Viceroy's
Okay.
Pride, yeah.
All right, that one is
fantasy
I
in
have
space.
It's on my list. I'm just trying to go through my like backlog and everything, and of course, more books keep coming out. I'm like, God, can we just calm down with the releases so
No.
I can catch up?
No.
Kale just said he's editing Blessed Time 3 right now. Actually, that is oh God, Zeckler,
Writing.
our lovely third person for when we finally do our deep dives and everything, says, what do you think is the most challenging part of narrating?
That is a very good question. Zeckler? Yes?
Yeah, Zeckler.
Zeckler. Very good question, Zeckler. The most challenging part of narrating is making the actual narration compelling and remembering that the narration needs to have a point of view. Because so often I find with different types of narration that it is so easy to fall into a passive voice, to fall into a sort of passive storyteller, because you're not necessarily participating in the action. You're telling a story. Like a narrator's like, once upon a time, this sort of thing happened. And he's not impacting the story as it's going, unless it's Into the Woods. But
Great musical.
Yeah, fantastic. Sondheim was a genius. But I digress. The narrator usually isn't impacting the story. They're telling the story. This has happened in the past. This has happened, and they cannot change it. So the usual mindset that narrators tend to fall into is it's a passive voice, but it still is needing to affect someone. It needs to affect the listener. It needs to be active. And that's where the acting sort of mindset comes in. When I studied theater at Ithaca College, shameless plug, I had a great teacher named Michael Kaplan who gave me one of my most invaluable lessons in the form of the book The Actor and the Target. And if you're an actor, if you have any fascination with studying acting, it's a great book to pick up and read. But one of the main
I'm gonna need you
takeaways
to
from
send
that
me the link.
is... Sorry?
I'm gonna need you to send me the link.
Oh, I will. It's a great... You can find it on Amazon. It's like $10. It's great. But... Yes. But the main takeaway that I took from it is that anyone you're interacting with in a scene, they are the target. The target is always changing, and you have to change with it. You're constantly trying to get what you want from the target. And with narration, The same thing. The target is the listener. The target is, who you're telling the story to. What do they need to feel? What do you need to get from them? And that can be subtle, but it still is there. So the voice has to be active, and reminding myself to keep an active voice, especially when I'm narrating third person past tense narration, it is the most challenging part of what I do. Keeping that interesting and alive and electric and making you want to keep listening.
Damn. Man, he's up showing us, Joel. He's going in depth.
I came prepared. I so rarely get to talk about what I love, especially with people who also love it. So it's fun.
That's fair. And actually, that's part of the reason when we were talking with Harvin, he's like, you guys need to talk to Dan. Get him on the show. He will have an absolute blast. I was like, all right. And I was actually getting ready to send you a message when you had followed us on Twitter and then sent me a message. I was like, all right, there we go. Harvin did the thing.
He did the thing, and I'm like, yes, please, thank you.
Yeah,
good times.
We're excited. And I think he just posted on Twitter the other day that Tokens and Towers physical releases on March 28th. I was like, damn it, I've been reading it on Royal Road, and I got to pick up the physical copy because, one, I love the cover, and two,
it's a great cover. So fun.
The bear hat.
He sends me. It's a hamster.
It's a hamster. I thought it was a bear.
You'll find out. They go to a place called Hamsterdam. At least that's may or may not, or maybe they don't. I don't know.
You can spoil that part. That's amazing.
No,
I'm pretty sure
it's
like,
the part. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, and it's funny because we have two actors in here, and then we have a techie because Joel was a techie.
If you can't figure out who's who, it's the one that's not talking right now.
Joel and I had we had the forbidden friendship because he was a techie, I was an actor. It's like, oh no, they're not allowed to be friends. No, we're friends.
I get that.
It's also like my voice is super shot right now, so that's also why I'm not talking a bunch.
He's just sending me mental notes. I've known him for 10 years. He's like, all right, ask him this, ask him this.
Like, there you go. There you go.
I can read him well enough. And I know, like, because the next episode we have coming up is the one with Anna and Zach. And Cyber Squad is one of those books I'm just, like, super passionate about. And our first episode with them, when we talked about the first book, I, like, actually went over the top and actually had an anxiety attack on camera, just freaking out.
Oh, my.
So
I mean, I feel that was me with R.C. Bray and Tess Irondale when I got to talk to them for his podcast. It was
shout out to Tess Irondale.
Shout out to Audiobooks. That episode dropped. Go check it out now on Audible, wherever podcasts are found.
I think I might need to hire him to do our intro, Joel.
I would gladly do the intro. I send me something to record. If you just give me like a little bit of time, I can send it to you. Not a problem.
Oh my God. All right. Yep. All right. We're going to have a fun conversation after this show. So no, I actually found out from Tess Irondale from Zeckler because he introduced me to the Monster Punk Horizon series with H.P. Hollow, and she narrates that. And so shout out to Tess.
She's got a great voice. She does. Truly name for fantasy and a voice for it too.
I'm not going to go into some of the books of hers I own because that's also getting into the I'm going to get judged.
Get into it, man. I've narrated probably a third of them. They're there. Well,
okay, so she did Jamie Hawk's others like the prequel series for Charm that was connected to the Super series, which when I got that book, I didn't know what I was expecting, and I got the 4-in-1, and I was like, oh, well, I started this. I guess I'm finishing it. And then I went through the entire series, and then I started reading some of the spinoffs. So, yeah. And then I got to... Actually, Charm was the first one I got for Tess Irondale, and she killed it in that one. So, once again, shout out to Tess Irondale.
Shout out to Tess.
Oh. All right. Well, let's see. I'm trying to think. Oh, we're going to go off topic really quickly.
Okay.
Because you talked about fantasy stuff.
I did.
Joel and I have a question we like to ask.
Okay.
You're sucked into a world of lit RPG.
Cool.
Would you rather be sucked into a fantasy medieval magic system or a cyberpunk futuristic dystopia?
Magic. All the way. Fantasy medieval magic.
And since with that answer, you get to pick your race and class.
Okay. So I'm going to take that moment. I'm going to take this moment to think because I also have to plug in my charger because I just realized I'm like, I was doing work on this without charging it. So I'll be back in just a second.
All
I'm going
right.
to use that time to buy myself some time to think.
All right. We'll be right here just waiting. This has been a fun episode, ladies and gentlemen. And since he's away, I don't know if he can hear us. But hey, if you have any other questions, feel free to type them in the chat. I see him in the reflection of his mirror. He's just roaming around, having a good time.
You're making it so awkward.
That's my job,
I've
Joel.
returned. I've returned.
I was just narrating like we could see in the reflection. I was like, he's just walking around. He's having a good time.
That's
He's
fair.
looking.
I'm having a great time. Greatest time. So is this classic D&D like any
You get
race
to pick.
available
So like how Maxwell is with the Chimera King. You get to
Okay.
you get to pick. Like go full out. Like you could be a necromancer. You could be whatever you wanted to be. You could be a hybrid.
So my head says, based on my lifestyle, half elf bard, but my heart truly says dwarf, because I love to yell, I love to drink, I love to have a good time, and I'm a very passionate, stout-hearted fellow.
Straight up theater guy.
Truly. It's really unfortunate because the majority of my friends that live in the city are either teetotalers or they don't drink for health reasons, and I'm just over here with my 5 shots of different scotches, well, all poured into their neat glasses. Oh, good choices.
Got some
Next
imported
time.
black velvet.
Oh, no, not black velvet. No,
Oh yeah.
no.
I mix it with Mountain Dew and it's pretty good.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you poor boy. That is okay. So sidetrack story time. I have not drank black velvet since college, and I cannot drink Canadian whiskeys because of it.
That's fair.
It is. I refuse to touch them because it got me through a difficult time in college, and then I discovered good whiskey.
Maker's Mark.
Gentleman Jack. But
Okay. Oh, all right. I'll give you that one.
yeah. But I love all of it, and I love to drink and have a good time. And thankfully, one of my best friends, who was also a Parky film major at Ithaca, so also a forbidden friendship. But he and I he was that link to me. He's also very much a stout-hearted fellow. But yeah, so dwarf and class. I really love magic, but I love fighting as well. So can I do a subclass? I take a level in something.
Okay, yeah, my heart's skipping a beat because you almost said my class choice combo. So I was like, oh, where are we going with this, Dan?
So currently I'm playing my current campaign. I'm a fighter with a level in sorcery, so I think I would do that.
Okay,
So
like
a fighter
with
like a battle mage, a spell sword, as it were.
All right. I am a dwarf paladin. That is my go-to
Hey!
in everything. So
My god's better than your god. My god's
oh,
the size
so
that yours
side
is.
note, but here, hold on. I'll let Kale ask his question. I'll say my thing, and then we'll do Zekler's question. So Kale said, "What are your favorite brown liquors, Dan?"
Oh, perfect choice. Perfect question. I love single malt scotches. I love Irish whiskey. I love rye, especially. I'm getting into bourbons. I found a new bourbon that's up by the Finger Lakes. It's called Mackenzie. It is wonderful. It is very just like hints of caramel. It's just
Damn it, I'm making a trip to the liquor store now.
fantastic. I just the things I don't like. It's easier to say honestly which ones I don't like. I don't like Canadian. Just it tastes unfinished to me because I guess it's like that little mindset of it was what we had in the Prohibition and it wasn't always great, but it was there. So I can't drink it because it doesn't taste like it's done. And
Like I said, I mix mine with Mountain Dew just to.
and that's fine because you need to.
Yeah.
But and again,
it hits the buzz.
no shame. The best whiskey is the whiskey you like, and the best way to drink it is the way you like to drink it.
Exactly.
That is my mindset. I just know that I can't drink it anymore, but it did get me through some rough times. But currently, yeah, my favorite, I really like, and it's on my cart now, Lafroig. I really like Low and Slow rye. It's perfect for old fashions. I know you usually use bourbon, but it's made with orange bitters and like orange rock candy. It's very good.
If you haven't tried it yet, I'd suggest it. Or if you haven't tried Japanese yet, I'd suggest
yeah.
It's probably my favorite for foreign whiskey, discounting Scotch.
I bought because my brother went off to Japan. He works for NBC. He works on the Olympics and such. So he went for the Summer Olympics. I bought him a bottle of, I think, Hibiki, and we had that before he left. And there was one I had that tasted just like an Isla Scotch, but it looked like apple juice. It was the weirdest palate shift, but I loved it, and I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I love whiskey overall. It's one of my favorite things to drink in safe, responsible ways.
The first this kind of spoiled my bourbon taste because the first bourbon I ever tried, I was at a wedding and it was actually supposed to be a dry wedding, and the best man was like, "Nah, we're drinking, we're having a good time." And this for me, like this wedding was like almost 2.5, almost 3 hours away from my home in Columbus. I had to it was a fun time, and it was bottled in '85. The barrel it was soaking in was laced with cinnamon.
Ooh.
It was smooth. Like I took
I like
took a
it
swig of that and I was like, oh wow.
That's when it gets dangerous because it's like if it goes down like water, it's like it typically will.
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself 5 drinks later, like, how did I get on the floor?
Well, and it's gonna be fun because when Joel's out here a week from like next week, the Mountain Dew hard liquor's supposed to be out by then, the hard seltzer for Mountain Dew. So we're getting Baja blasted. But also I'm stopping.
I love that.
Right. Shout out to my buddy John Rivera. He's the one that made that joke and I just love it. So I'm giving him full credit for that one for where I heard it from. But I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be dangerous. Joel and I together for almost a week, and I live in Colorado. Oh no, what are we going to get ourselves into?
Oh, lovely.
Oh yeah,
Lovely. I've heard it's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
I heard it can be a wonderful place.
I have some horror stories, mainly for the tourist town I lived in because oh my god, I love the people. I didn't like the tourist.
Oh, I mean, my dude, New York City. I have to deal with them on the reg. I do not like them. They are idiots. You are your dumbest self when you are in somebody else's hometown. Like it's
but I have a specific hatred for a state as a whole because of this, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to piss off any fans if we have any in that state. So I'll save that for afterwards. But
there you go.
Oh, holy shit! So yeah, Joel's gonna be out here and we're gonna be drinking. The Anna episode, I'm probably gonna be shit faced for, and I have to work the next day at 4 a.m.
Nice.
So make sure you catch that.
Yeah, make sure you catch that episode because we also have a really fun, big, exciting announcement I've already told Joel about because Anna said I could. Anna's going to be making a really cool announcement, and I'm really excited about that one.
Nice.
So yeah, Dwarf Paladin's my go-to for my racing class. Joel, I don't remember what his is, but in a D&D campaign once, I asked if I could be a dark. I pulled the DM aside and I was like, "Hey, can I be a dark paladin, but portray myself as a light paladin? So when I'm casting my spells, the team thinks I'm using holy magic, but I'm actually using dark magic." And he goes, "Okay, what's your actual alignment?" I said, "Chaotic evil." He goes, "Okay. How are you going to play this up?" I was like, "My god's a dark god that people think is a light god." He goes, "All right. Well, guess what? When we finally tell them how to do it, you're going to be pissed." I said, "Okay." We went into a catacombs and had to fight a lich that was immune to my dark damage.
Oh no.
And he before we got into it, he's like, "By the way, guys, one of you has not been telling the truth and has been deceiving others." And I was like, fuck. And everyone just turned and looked at me. I was like, "So by the way, guys, I'm actually a dark paladin. I'm going to be pretty useless in this fight."
Nice.
And they all kind of went,
as you do.
They all kind of were like, "Yeah, we kind of guessed." I was like, "How so?" And they said, "You threw a fucking table across the tavern because the barkeep pissed you off." I said, "But I paid for it," which was very They're like, "That was evil." I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
That counts. That's a part of it.
Yeah. So that's my thing. Joel, what was your favorite class again? I forget.
Well, if we're going with D&D, I tend to probably go with the more edgier classes.
Shocking.
So like Necromancer, but I also go with like whatever mechanics I like. I don't know.
I'm gonna
feel
stop
like
you right there because
currently Well, hold on. So currently, I'm playing an artificer, and I'm
Ah,
walking around with a metal Blastoise as my beast.
like the Pokemon?
Yeah,
I got
I love that.
right. It's a
That is.
maritime campaign, and yeah, having a lot of fun with it.
See, that is that I love that for D&D that there are. I hope you haven't had the unfortunate, at any point in your time playing with a DM who is too rigid about things, because I love it when they're very
I
like,
have.
have fun. Have a Pokemon. Have three. Go ahead.
If you're on TikTok at all, I recommend checking out the guy who does Dungeon Master Therapy because it is
Mm.
hilarious. If I can find one of the videos of his, I'll send it because I can't remember his account name. But
Mhm.
he goes, "They built a nuke. Well, what? How? Well, you see." He just goes in, and I'm
See,
like,
that sounds like it again. Going into the whole,
"Yeah,
bring it back on topic. It's just the imagination and the embrace of imagination within a structured system. It's one of the reasons why I love this genre so much because it's usually so creative. You have your rules, you have your stat sheets, and you establish the world, and then you can do whatever the heck you want. It's great.
All right, so now that we're back on topic, I can get to Zekler's question. Zekler, I'm sorry for ignoring you. You didn't play Monster Hunter with us earlier, so you deserve it. What's been your favorite lit RPG that you've not worked on?
That I've not worked on. Oh, that's a good question. Um, I let me check my Audible because I have them, and again, like unfortunately, currently, just with how things have been, I haven't had the fortunate.
Yeah.
I haven't been fortunate in having the time to really listen to stuff. And the thing I last listened to was Columbus Day by R.C. Bray and Greg Allenson. I really, really, really enjoy the Life in Exile series.
Oh yes,
Also,
Sean
if
Oswald.
I may, represent Sean Oswald. And I also really like A Snake's Life by Kenneth
Mm.
Arndt,
Kenneth Arndt,
narrated by
I
the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Travis Baldree.
who has also been a previous guest on our show.
Oh my God,
I yelled at him.
I,
I yelled at him live. I had to
he
mute
is a,
Joel.
he's a good, he's a good one. He's good at the job.
He
And
is.
I find myself, I've lost quite a few projects to him, for auditioning through things. And I'm like, if I'm going to lose to somebody, he's the guy to lose to.
I think if I
Like
was,
him,
I was gonna,
Nick Padell,
yep.
Luke Daniels, Vicus Adams, like they're the guys to lose this stuff to.
See, if
Like
I
Adam
was
Gold, these guys.
if
Yeah.
I was looking at getting into audiobook narration, which I actually have been, I've been doing some research on it, but I have hardcore dyslexia, so reading for me is a challenge.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for something that actually pushes me and challenges me instead of just playing with chips all day.
Hmm.
But like I'm going in, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna lose a lot of work, and I have like a list of names, and it's like, you know what? I wouldn't even be mad because I love their work. So, yeah,
I mean, it's just practice and getting
yeah,
it out there and just getting into it. I mean, I get that. I had a massive speech impediment growing up, like, and now I'm speaking for a living. It's
right.
weird, but
And that's where
yeah.
I'm at. And like I have a really bad stutter, especially when my anxiety like gets into play. Like I stutter almost every other word. And Joel's
Mhm.
seen it really bad, and he's like, if I start stuttering, he goes, "You good?"
Like
No.
no, it's a mechanics thing. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes there are times when I'm narrating. So the style that I do is like I punch and I roll. I just keep going and I'll edit out the mistakes later. But there are times when my mouth has just gone on automatic, like on autopilot, and I'm like, how did you make that sound, or why did you go there? Or sometimes I just stop in the middle of a word and I'm like, he said is eating, and it just doesn't, it just stops because it's old habits dying a very long and painful death. So I get that, and you just got to keep going,
Yeah.
slow it down, take a breath. He says as he speaks a mile a minute, but you know, that's all it is. It's just repetition, and you get used to it.
Joel, I'm having flashbacks to Mr. Brunch is telling me to slow down and watch his tempo. Oh God. Yep. South Pacific. I'm having PTSD now.
Yeah, I musical theater. It's also my bag, which actually made it easy to get into this. I think you got to be bombastic, but
Yeah.
within a certain confine.
I I don't know what this says about my character, but our theater teacher, shout out to Ms. Runge. Ms. Runge, love you. Hope you're doing well. She typecasted me for 2 shows in 1 year where I was a drunk. Because we did Appointment with Death with Agatha Christie, and I played Alderman Iggs, and I was a drunk politician. I got to drink on stage. Of course, I had water because I was, 17. And
Right.
then the next show we did that year was South Pacific, where I was cast as Luther Billis. I was also a drunk.
A massive drunk in the show, yes.
But I had a blast. I think that was probably my favorite year for theater because I was just having a blast.
Mm-hmm.
And like how we had to set up like the impressing the girls and while they're running by us when we were singing what song? I can't remember what song it was. It's like the second or third song it's the first Sailor song. I remember that.
Nothing Like a Dame.
Nothing Like a Dame, yeah. Which they actually at the end, like all the guys would surround me and like 2 of them would lift me up and I'd be on their shoulders.
That's fun.
I have a picture. I'll send it to you. It's such a fun show. Which, Joel, weren't you a sailor in that one?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. We had a fun time with that show. That was really fun. And also, oh God, what is the song? I had to wear a coconut bra and a hula skirt.
I can't help you. I don't remember. I know some of it. I never did it, and I sadly didn't see it when it was on Broadway.
Oh, it's such a fun show. If you ever get a chance to see it, that's one of probably my favorite musicals. That and 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
That was a good one. I did see that one.
We did that my sophomore year, and that was something else.
I got to see that in Philadelphia, where I grew up. Allie Stoker, she was in Oklahoma. She just won a Tony Award for that. She was in that, and she was phenomenal. She is so good and has such a massive voice. And it's just the expressions and the acting choices, and she's great. So, but yeah, it's a good show, and she did a really good job. But yeah.
So I just unlocked something, and I want your opinion on this because I had this idea floating around because one, I love Shakespeare. Like I'm a Shakespeare guy. I have like 5 different copies of the complete works of William Shakespeare. How would you feel about a Shakespearean lit RPG?
I would absolutely narrate the shit out of that.
Fuck yeah.
I love that because I'm a huge Shakespeare fan. It was like a defining part. My number, I love Othello, and I love Richard III, and I love the Scottish play, and I mean Hamlet's a classic.
I mean Mac is great. Mac is fantastic. That's probably my favorite.
There was what was the one I read?
Come on,
shoot.
What's it about?
It was. See, now it's just escaping my brain.
Damn it!
I'm not gonna get it back. But I'd say my favorite of the tragedies, at least, is the Scottish play. My favorite comedy is, I think, As You Like It. Okay. I think it's very fun. It's very charming. Yeah, he's great. He's honestly incredibly accessible once you figure out the patterns. It's not hard to follow. It's just written different. And that's all.
That's actually what my senior project was. We have to do like something that's like 20% in our comfort zone, 80% out of our comfort zone. So I filmed, directed, and starred in my own 3 instructional videos on how to interpret Shakespeare's work. I did the histories, comedies, and tragedies all in one, like all in 3 different videos for the incoming freshmen. I got a B on it. I'm proud of that. And nice. I also had to do a 5-page persuasive paper, which was the hardest paper I've ever written on why Shakespeare should be taught in the classroom.
I think it helps critical thinking. It helps to understand things that are easily understandable, but in a different way of looking at it. And it honestly just makes you feel smarter for reading it, I think. It's also just good.
And the themes. Oh my God, the themes.
The themes and the actual dialogue is very snappy. It's very back and forth, as he says as he snaps into his microphone. It's very much like watching tennis. I find if you have a really good pair of actors who understand the text and know what they're trying to accomplish. And it was fun to do. I had a lot of fun when I got the few shows I got to do. But yeah, I would love a Shakespeare lit RPG. I don't think you could do the entire book in verse. That would be really hard. I think if it's a character who, like, the inner machinations of the world, like the chart, like the greetings and salutations, young adventurer, stuff like that. If that's written in prose and written in verse and stuff like that, I think that would be wonderfully charming
I just
and
want
very
that
funny.
one character who just speaks nothing in the rhythm, but in nothing but the rhythms and everything. And,
Yeah.
and like someone just goes, "Will you speak normally?" No.
Nay, nay, says I, you knave.
All
How about
right.
thee? Oh, yeah.
All right, we're coming to our end of our show. We've had a great show tonight. We're gonna do some wrap ups. One final question. So chat, if you have a question, type it in real quick. We'll see if we got anything going. We've had a pretty good count this tonight, so it's pretty awesome to have. Let's see. Do we have one final question? First come, first serve. Nothing's coming up.
Mhm.
Maybe.
It could be a name. It could be something completely random.
Why do I feel like that was Alex Trebek on, or well, Will Ferrell as Alex Trebek for the SNL Celebrity Jeopardies?
Yeah.
Okay, that's exactly what I first thought too. Favorite pizza, go.
Pizza. I mean, I'm actually a fan of pineapple on pizza.
All right, so
with
this has
ham.
been a wonderful show, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not wrong. It is perfectly fine that the sweetness offsets the saltiness of the cheese. It is a perfect counterbalance if you get it right.
All right.
You can't have. It's hard to eat reheated, but that doesn't count as the question. That doesn't count. It's just
Okay.
that's a fun fact for those who are interested.
Okay. If you could work with any like narrator, who would be like what would your like dream project be? Like with like would it be like a super huge cast of like multiple different like narrators, or I know it's probably a
See,
loaded question, but
I would love to work on something with Simon Vance, and I'll tell you why. Because his voice is one of the best voices I've ever heard in anything with fantasy. He just captures the essence of fantasy. It helps that he's British. It helps that he has that sort of British baritone. But Roy Daltrey, who narrated the Game of Thrones books, The Song of Ice and Fire, he passed away sadly. And I didn't know how they were going to continue it. I didn't know who they were going to get and what they were going to do to cover once the next few books finally come out. But Simon Vance did the Fire and Blood
that's what I was about to ask.
Targaryen
That was the first book I
book.
bought on Audible.
It is when I heard that, I'm like, okay, they're fine. They're fine as long as it comes out and he's working on it. Then there's I absolutely trust him. He has that quality of fantastical storytelling to make it feel real. So if I got to work with him on something, on anything, that'd be great. Same with Ewan Morton. I love his stuff, and he also works on a lot of Star Wars stuff, and I love that.
I love my Star Wars.
They're really good. I want to get the Thrawn book. I also want to get
Oh.
Plagueis. Those are in my
I
those are
have
in my
Plagueis.
wish list.
I wish it was still canon. It's really good.
Fun
Which
fact.
Thrawn?
I just want to get the series of them. I just want to get the
Okay.
whole. Like I was just listening through them. But fun fact: Plagueis is narrated by the guy who played Niles in The Nanny.
I knew that. I actually knew that.
Yep, and he's from out like Alabama. He's from like some southern state or something like that. He's not even British. He's just really good at an English accent.
Niles is the
Daniel
best part
Davis.
of the. He's the best part of the nanny. I don't care what anyone says.
He's so funny, and his storytelling, he gets it. That's another thing. He understands. He's like, okay, this is Star Wars, but it's a serious story, which I love. I love actors who can do that. But I would love to work on a big flagship project with a big narrator. Would be wonderful. Whether it's solo partner stuff, as long as it's just something that can sort of cross that threshold. I hope it's a lit RPG. I'd love it if it could be. But just something that can,
Yeah.
that has legs, as it were.
So, quick side note before we start wrapping up. The Thrawn trilogy, the original one, like the Heir to the Empire, that's no longer canon, fantastic. It's really good. The second trilogy, which is a prequel to the Heir to the Empire trilogy, holy shit, amazing. Like Timothy Zahn knows exactly what he's doing. I've only read the
Mhm.
first book in Ascendancy, which is a prequel to the previous trilogy, because I just love how with it, it's just we're making Thrawn younger as we go,
Yeah.
and I love it because Thrawn is my favorite non like Jedi character, and
Oh,
he's
he's
actually
fantastic.
he's my top 5. He's in my top 5. He's like number 2 or 3, I think. When I sit
Bringing
down
him into the series was the smartest thing they could have done.
oh yeah,
It satisfies all of the fans who were annoyed at the canon being wiped. It's like, we'll bring him in. We'll
and now
change up. We can't have.
he's gonna be the big bad in Ahsoka, and I can't wait because I get
It's
to see
like,
my boy Thrawn.
we can't use the Yuzon Vong anymore, but we can still put him in for the Empire. It still can work. Here you go. So that was that. I thought that was a very smart choice.
There's only one
yeah,
other
they're
character
great.
I want them to make canon because they already made like his predecessor, or not predecessor, his I guess a disciple of him. They already made Bane canon because he showed up in the Clone Wars. But bring back my boy Darth Revan for the love of God. Just
He almost was this close.
Rise of Skywalker, they do reference Revan, and there's a statue of him, but he's not completely canon yet. And I'm just like, you need to do it. There's
Just
Star
make
Wars
him.
facts.
Just make the movie. Get Keanu. He'll gladly do it. He doesn't turn stuff down, especially if it's interesting. He's good. Just give him something with it before he's 70. Like even then, I'd still watch it because it can be like young, like Revan reflecting on his life or something.
Have Revan sit
I don't
down
care.
like well, I mean, if you've read the Revan book, he doesn't. Yeah. Anyways,
It's all makeup. It's all made up. We
Yeah.
can make it work.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
all
it's-
fiction.
it's-
Why not? Happened a long time ago. Okay, in a galaxy
far,
far, far away. We'd be fine. But yeah, I'd love it if they made him in it. They brought him in. That would be perfect.
that's fair. Joel, since I
Yeah.
asked him, and then I'll say mine. If you could work with anyone on a project, like audio or whatever, who would it be?
As like what would my role be?
Yes.
Yes.
If you could just be involved in a project and work with one specific person,
Oh man.
I'm gonna hit you with mine, and you're gonna be like, "God damn it, I knew it."
Well, go ahead and say yours, and I
David
will
Tennant.
tell you as I think. David Tennant.
If I could work with
Mhm.
David Tennant on anything, I would just die. I honestly would just die. I'd be very content for the rest of my life just to be able to be in the same room as David Tennant.
Well, if we're opening the door to all like what people, I thought it was just limited to
He does narrate.
audiobooks.
He does narrate.
He does. I would want to work with anyone from the Critical Role cast.
That's
Like,
fair.
that would be-
That's fair.
Like if I could, I have this weird dream in my head, like when you daydream on projects and stuff, and I imagine if they ever made a Legend of Zelda Netflix style cartoon, and they cast Travis Willingham as Ganondorf, and I got to work on that in some capacity with him and Laura Bailey, would be great. Please bring them both. I love them so much. That would be a dream, like very dream. No, I know it's not going to happen, but dream idea.
All right, we need to send a tweet out to Netflix Zeckler. Clip that for me, please. Thank you.
Oh man. So I think I would love to write a character in the world of Dakota Kraut. That to me, well, one, like his mechanics is just like amazing.
I want to see those.
And
dope
I'd
sheets.
love to just write. I would love to just get a log of like how he puts his characters together and just be able to make a character in that world. Yeah.
I just whip out my emails like, "Hey Dakota, Danielle, quick question. How do you make characters?" Love Dan. Thanks for everything.
We love Dakota and Danielle. I mean, anytime I post about any of his stuff in the Lit RPG group on Facebook, I always see D and then Kraut. I never look to see if it's Danielle or Dakota because I'm like, I know they like it.
They are the sweetest people. I love working with them so
You're
much.
not the
I
first
love
person to tell us that. Like everyone that we've
they're
talked
so nice.
to, Ryan DeBruin, it was like, oh my god, they are such the sweetest people, and I was like, god damn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to go to Dragon Con this year, but that vacation got canceled because that's in a blackout week because, for Frito-Lay. I work for Frito-Lay. Oops, I shouldn't have said that. That's, Memorial Day weekend. It's like, yeah, but Dragon Con.
Dragon Con. I almost they invited me to Dragon Con this past year, but I couldn't go. It was just too soon, trying to figure things out. And I'd like to go this coming year, but I'm getting married around the same time, so it might make that a little difficult.
Congratulations.
But thank you. I'm happy. She's great. Her name's Faith. She's lovely. She helps edit my stuff, and she's very supportive, and it's wonderful.
Well, shout out to Faith from Stats on Stats.
Yeah. But yeah, the Krauts are wonderfully nice. They sent me something for Christmas. They're very nice people.
I felt something fuzzy on my leg. It was a tail.
I felt something fuzzy in my heart. It was the mention of the Krauts.
That's fair. That's fair. You got me there.
And I don't know, I said this before the whole episode, but I want to say it again because I thought it was clever. There's nothing sour about those Krauts.
It's true. It's very true. He did say that before we went live, and I actually cackled a little bit because it was good.
I didn't want to waste it.
So, we're going into our final segment where we just kind of do wrap-ups, plugs, all that fun stuff. So, we'll start off with Joel. Hey, Joel. Joel. Where can people find you?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at SirValorHunter. I'm not that active, but I'm not proactive. I am active. I will comment and like your stuff, I guess.
He just doesn't post.
Yeah. But yeah. And then I do stats on stats, so watch that.
And of course, the Twitch channel here, we do co-streams and stuff, and I mean, we're going to be streaming Elden Ring when that drops coming Friday.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait.
Look forward to that.
We're going to turn that into a drinking game one night.
Nice.
Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. Hey, Dan.
Yeah.
Dan the Voice Man 3. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at DanTheVoiceman3. You can find me on Instagram more regularly at DanTheVoiceman. And you can also find me at my website, DanielWisniewskiActor.com.
All right. And, of course, you can always find me at Rich Dolphus on Twitter or here on Stats or the Stats on Stats Twitter, which I've not been as active on. You good? You good? He's just sitting back there mewing. He's okay. Yeah, thank you, Winter. So yeah, I haven't been as active on the Stats on Stats Twitter the past week because it's been a holy nightmare from hell because Super Bowl week was a holy nightmare from hell. But yeah, you can always find us here on Twitch. Like I said, we do have our goals, so please, help us reach those goals, and we'll help with giveaways and stuff because we have a couple of giveaways coming up. And also, I'm gonna be getting in contact with someone about setting up a website for us, so that way we can post like a full schedule and stuff like that. Have a fun time, and then of course we're gonna be doing like, oh hey, currently this is what we've been listening to. Oh shit, Joe, we need to do that before we wrap up the show.
I don't know if you want to say what you've been listening to recently. I think I broke him.
I'm debating. Hold on.
Well, I can say what I've been listening to lately.
What have you been listening to, Dan?
Sure. I listened to recently.
Give me a second, guys.
As I pull up my library, the last few things I've listened to are Columbus Day by Craig Allenson, narrated by R.C. Bray. I've also listened to Voice of War by Zach Argyle, narrated by the fantastic Adam Gold. And I've also listened to Ina Solemnis by J. Robert King, narrated by the one, the only, the Liam O'Brien.
All right, Joel, you want me to dive into this hellhole list real quick?
Yeah, I guess.
So I've listened to the first 3 books in the OPMC by Logan Jacobs. I've listened to Super Mage by Aaron Oster. I started that and powered through that. And a lot of these I do listen to while I have people in the car. Logan Jacobs stuff I do not, because obvious reasons.
Fair.
I re-listened to Death's Favorite Warlock. I listened to The Perfect Run by Maximum J. I cannot pronounce that name, and I feel very bad. I am sorry. Lord January by Dakota Kraut. Wakened Online, The Rules. I re-listened to I Am the Bad Guy by Simon Archer because Zachary Johnson. Cyber Squad Level 2 and Cyber Squad Level 1 because Animosity Cat and Zachary Johnson. Wild Wild Quest by Eric Uglin, which was fantastic. I love the good guys way too much. Um, I listened to what was it called? Kill the Gamer or something like that by Eric Val. Kill the Power Gamer.
Yeah.
That was
Kill the Power. That was
an interesting
fun.
one. It was fun.
How interesting.
It was interesting. It's one I couldn't listen to really in the car, but it was because I do Lyft and I have a 5-star rating after 300 and some odd rides.
This might be a nice little hook to get me back for another episode. But before, because I have to head out in a moment. But the narrators on that one, that's me and Rebecca when we first started.
For Kill the Power Gamer?
Yes. We did it under pseudonyms, and there's a whole story behind that. But yeah, that's us. Surprise.
We're going to need to have a conversation about that one later because I did not realize it's you, but now it's clicking and I loved it. So, yeah. And I re-listened to Sentence to Troll to get ready for book 4 because I have not picked up Sentence to Troll book 4. But hey, Joel, what have you been listening to real quick before we sign off for today?
So I've been listening to Lady February, which just came out. I've also been listening to Mist Wardens by James C. Callum. It's the third book, I think.
Yeah, third book of the Beastborn series.
And then Seven Realms Part 2 by Michael Chatfield. Cal Plumman's Invasion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect Run. Also Cyber Squad Level 2. But yeah.
Thanks, Zach.
Oh, the second book in the
Cyber Squad?
No, Dakota Kraut. Murder Hobo.
Oh yeah, anything. That's another thing. Yeah, we listen to anything because we bought that directly through him for.
Yeah, that was also a really good one.
Which that one's done by Christian J. Gilliand.
Also fantastic voice.
Love him.
I did not mention that before. Also have worked like with a lot of similar authors. Also have lost work to that man. Very talented. Very good at his job.
But yeah.
I think in the narrating voice acting game, it's always, good to have that. Like, it's like, yeah, I lost work to it, but that's okay. Like,
yeah,
because
friendly rivalries, as it were. Like, we know the work is always in good hands because it's always in the same 12 hands. So.
That's true. That's very true. Like, I feel bad because like I get to the point where I'm like, I don't know that narrator's name, so I'll listen to a sample. I'm like, they're good, so I'll come back to it. But other books I have. For my comfort narrators, which are actually on that list of comfort narrators.
I'm glad. Thank you. I appreciate you listening.
We actually really appreciate you coming on the show. I know it was like a scheduling conflict for a hot minute. We were going back and forth trying to figure it out, but like that's life.
That's life.
This episode was actually pretty complicated to get going, and when we finally were like, yes, we got a date, let's do it.
Yep. And I appreciate you guys having me on. I'd love to be on again at some point.
You are always welcome back. Anytime you want to say, hey, I want to come back on.
I want to do it. I got something to plug.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then, thank you very much for having me.
Cough, cough, tokens and towers. Cough, cough.
Available soon on wherever books are found and audiobooks are heard.
That's
true.
Yeah. But hey, we really appreciate it. And for everyone that has tuned in, this has been Stats on Stats Level 2. The very first episode of Bard's Tale. Is that what I titled it? I can't remember. We came up with the name right before the show.
A Bard's Tale.
Yeah, Bard's Tale.
Copyright.
So we really appreciate everyone tuning in and interacting with us, giving us good questions to ask to our lovely guest Daniel. Which Daniel, you've been an absolute delight. We really appreciate you being on. But for everything Lit RPG and for this episode, audiobook stuff and just random nerd stuff because we kind of nerded out a little bit. We've had a great time tonight. We hope to see you this coming Sunday on Sunday the 27th, where Joel and I will be sitting in the same room together for the first time in over 3.5 years.
I'm gonna hit him.
He's gonna smack the shit out of me. And we will be joined, of course, by Anna and Zachary Johnson, and we are so excited to talk about Cyber Squad and have a couple announcements. And we also have our deep dive coming out soon. That's another scheduling conflict we're trying to get figured out, but it is what it is. But we got this. We have a lot of fun stuff in store, so please stick around and follow us on Twitter at Stats on Stats Lit, or follow our personal Twitters, so names below us. Rich Dolphus, Sir Valor Hunter, and Dan the Voice Man 3. Everyone, have a wonderful night.